Now, I know I don't look good. I definitely don't feel good. Um, I'm having some major dental work done on Monday, and I have what people call a voice. Talk too much. Piss people off. And you know what? I'm starting to say I don't give a fuck. Today, my daughter was bullied. In class, there should have been a teacher present. If you're going to set up a game called Capture the Flag, which imprisons other children, and then you leave or you're not present to see what's going on, you're not monitoring the students, you just turned a student who thought the world of you into a student that thinks nothing of you now. Because I am tired, I'm fed up. The school board has bullied me for years as well for standing up for my kids. I was bullied as a kid. And so what I did, because I didn't have parents that stood up for me, I didn't have family that stood up for me, I didn't have a big, large group of friends that stood up for me. I always stood out from the crowd because I was poor. I was in poverty level, so I had my mom always dressed me in the most god-awful clothes, like imaginable, quite literally. I would always be wearing those $3.50 combo sets from Walmart or whatever, and none of my socks ever, she always got me colored socks, and they never were the exact same color as my outfit, so I got made fun of for that. I got made fun of because my mom wouldn't buy me deodorant until later in life, and so I was called the stinky kid. Well, it turns out I've got severe extrinsic asthma, and I've had it since I was born. I was born with a deformed lung, and I didn't find out until later in life. So all those kids who made fun of me had no clue that medically I was ill. Now, I'm still ill, and I'm 36 years old, and I've suffered several heart attacks. I have also had to deal with moving my kids from one school to another all throughout my life. Whenever my daughter, who is going to be 20 next month, was in school in the past, I've had 4 daycare shut down. I've been told when I do talk to somebody that I'm all over the place. That's because you guys wait until I get so frustrated that when I am calling you, I have numerous things to talk about. And this is what I get from Mr. Randy Rader after hanging up on Mr. RAINEY at Glenwood, because he basically was laughing and saying, I just think that Hallie was so emotional and so distraught that she didn't want these two girls she was trying to stop a fight that these two girls were trying to set up after school, and she wanted to stop it. She wanted to end it there, and nobody was doing anything about it. Apparently this was being talked about very widely, very openly in physical education class, where Coach Hayes teaches the class at Glenwood, and he's always rewarding with candy. What is that in school today? Why are we rewarding kids with candy that causes dentist and the more dentist visits and cavities and things? Are you guys in connection with the dentist's office and giving our children candy without our permission? Because I'm pretty sure that we have to have your written consent for our children to have even a water bottle of their own in school, let alone for you guys to be giving our children candy. What if they're allergic to it? My son was allergic to peanuts for the first part of his life, allergic to gourds like pumpkin and eggplant and stuff like that for the first few years of his life. He eventually grew out of it, which I'm happy for, but we had to ease those food products back into his diet until eventually the allergy ended up going away. Now, the epidemic that is highly one of the biggest number one causes of all of our school shootouts, shoot downs, negativity, all of the reasons why security guards are now sitting at the schools, is because the schools themselves are built to say it's not our fault. No matter what it is that's going on, it can't possibly be the school's fault. It can't possibly be a bad egg of a teacher. Well, I hate to say it, but I know a great deal of the teachers, and the only one so far that has been honest with me 100% is Mr. Crosswhite. And I think that the only reason why that stands is that not only did we have a previous relationship as far as we worked together as co-workers at Jumbo's back in 1998, but he knows me. Before the tattoos, before the external appearance that I present to people. They get offended because I have gauges in my ears, or because of the clothes that I choose to wear, because throughout most of my life I was a goth, but I wasn't allowed to express it and rebel in high school because I had super strict parents that didn't really allow me to do much of anything other than You know, locking me in my rooms, letting me stroll around town when they wanted some, you know, the kids out of the house. You can't do that anymore these days. So when I'm talking to my kids, I'm like, hey, you guys are in class and someone's bullying you. You go to the teachers. The only reason there is ever to put hands on somebody else, another child in your class, is if one, the teacher already just said, screw it, I don't care. You deal with it. Once you have been given that permission from the teacher that says you deal with it, or they call you a tattletale, that is their version of saying you deal with it. The school systems also told me one day the kids will be out of school and then there will be bullies outside of school, and then what are they going to do? Well, I don't know. If you guys would stop bullying me, maybe I could tell you from another experience. I can't bully you. I can make these videos. But as Mr. Radar said, Mr. Randy Radar, the school superintendent for Garfield County, told me, that's just, you could say, I could say whatever I want to on YouTube, doesn't mean it's true. I don't have a reason to lie. I don't have a reason or anything to hide. I am a sick parent. I take care of my kids alone. I don't date. I don't have a significant other out there. I live in a crap hole of a house that I clean and take care of all the freaking time. It never fails. I never get any respect from anyone in the house except for, on occasion, my kids. We do these challenges because rich people are doing them everywhere, and it's just something that they do. They're starting to get their kids famous. It's the only way they can get their kids famous is by the YouTube thing. Well, I'm not trying to get fame. What I am trying to get is justice, because I am fed up with it. These teachers, these superintendents, they call me names. They call me stupid. They say I'm lying. They say that even though other parents, when their kids fight, the parents get called in before the questioning starts so that everybody can be in on what's going on. Unfortunately, when my kids are involved, they don't ever call the other parents so that we could all sit in and mediate. Apparently, I'm the only bad person that's so bad, such a threat to the schools, that I'm the only one exempt from the laws. Oklahoma state statutes state, in several different parts of the statute, by the way, because there's so many subchapters in the statutes revolving around schools, I am allowed to have all access to all. Say it with me. All. I'll even spell it out. A-L-L. All. Everything that happens in that school. That includes my child. I am allowed to have copies of every single thing. I'm also allowed, via our Oklahoma state statutes and our human basic civil rights, to be treated like a human, not like an outcast. Now, with the legal system, are we not innocent until proven guilty? So, because my daughter actually was the only child that told the truth of the story of what happened in the gymnasium today, she's being punished and being put to sit aside in gym for 3 days, where Coach Hayes was formerly her favorite teacher, besides Mr. Crosswhite. And now, Coach Hayes means nothing to my daughter. He's another bully. And, you know, it's funny because he says, and he's one of the ones that rewards the kids the most with candy. And you know how kids are with candy. Oh my gosh, they can't wait to get it, especially the few that don't get a whole bunch of candy like my kids. Don't allow them a bunch of candy and stuff, because I'm really wanting them to focus on their dental hygiene, because I don't want them to grow up and be like me, someone who has poor immune deficiency, and it's causing my teeth to kind of rot as well as my body. I've been telling my kids, you know, don't ever get up in there and start something. At best, try to avoid it, because the schools have already ostracized me. They've already discounted me and discluded me from existence as if I'm not a caring parent. They consider me ruthless and cruel, cold-hearted, and threatening, intimidating. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like in utter tears. I am screaming inside my head for justice for my kids. I think every single child that was involved in the altercation, if any one of them is punished, they should all suffer the same punishment. Even if that means they have to sit out together. Because you know what happened when we fought back in school? In-school suspension. And once you had in-school suspension, you were literally sitting in the school with that person that you had a fight with, an altercation with, and you had to deal with it. No matter how much you wanted to repeat that altercation that happened, you had to deal with being in the same room as the person that you were in the altercation with. Now, instead of doing anything like that and working on actually proactively deflecting the negativity from the schools, getting them away from the schools, getting away from the bullying, Mr. Crosswhite was the one that told me that there are cameras up in the schools, when all the principals, like Principal Mills, Principal RAINEY, they all told me there are no cameras in the school, and that the parent portal was never designed a decade ago, or over a decade ago, whenever it was just starting junior high, about a decade ago. When she first started junior high or middle school, that is when I was given a form that said, here's parent portal, you go online and you can tap into it, and there's a camera watching your classroom so that you can watch your kids at home in the classroom or on the job. You can see them through the laptop in the classroom. Or you can go into the classrooms and sit as a guest and say something. I've never been given the opportunity to do that, to sit into the classrooms with my kids so I can see the mannerisms and how they behave, how the other kids behave around them, any of that. Mr. Crosswhite invited me, but Mr. RAINEY has always turned it down. I thought because he had a special kid out there that maybe he would understand this whole bullying thing. I thought because he was bullied as a kid that maybe he would understand this bullying thing, but instead he became the very thing that he hated. The same thing that my eldest daughter pretty much became. The bully. Are you guys going to beat on me too like my ex-husbands did? You going to beat on me like my parents did? You going to beat on me like my brothers did? You going to call the cops on me and have me thrown away in jail for trying to protect my kids? Really? Seriously? Because he started to say, Mr. Radar started to go off into, well, Mr. RAINEY said this, and I said, you know, that's all hearsay, and legally, hearsay doesn't hold any grounds in a court of law, unless, of course, the hearsay is from the actual person that committed the crime. So, what Mr. Rader's hearing from Mr. RAINEY is all hearsay from what happened in that classroom, because it was Coach Hayes that was the delegate in that classroom that day. He should have paid attention. He should have seen what happened, and it should be up to him. For one, stop feeding my kid candy. Just because you married a fat person doesn't mean that my kid should have to suffer with your fat endurance. I'm overweight. I have medical reasons. Screw you. But stop giving my kids candy. The counselor, Miss Brianna Stevens, all you've ever done is doubted me. All you've ever done is contradicted me with every diagnosis that I have ever done and given to my children. Anything that I've tried to do helpful-wise with the IEPs and coming in and being threatened, and constantly being threatened and bullied by teachers and superintendents and school boards and pretty much everyone that I have ever met continues to bully me throughout my life. And my kids see that. And so, yeah, one of them lashed out. Once. And all the years that they've been bullied and they've watched their mother get bullied. My daughter lashed out once. And she didn't punch the girl. She merely slapped her. And that's because the girls were going to set up a fight after school. And Hallie was friends with both of them. And she didn't want anything to happen between them. Same thing's going on at Waller Middle School with my daughter Jenna. In the physical education classroom, they called me right after I posted a video on Facebook talking about how my daughter was afraid to go to school because she doesn't have anyone to talk to when it comes to the bullying factor, because everyone just calls her a tattletale. And then Mr. Rader said that the schools give out 90% of their earnings or their funds or whatever it is that they get on under income level parents with deficiencies in socially economic statuses. That is statistically wrong, Mr. Raider. I looked it up before I started to make this video. I also looked up who your boss is, since when I called, I got sent back to you and you said, well, somehow we got disconnected. No, somehow you keep refusing to let me talk to your boss. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer there on the fact that you're not going to help. You're not willing to help, and you don't care. You don't give 2 cents on what really happens in the education of today's world. We're roboticizing our children, and his comeback is, no, there is some hands-on. Yeah, when you send the book home that's checked out from the library to me, I teach my kids more than you guys teach your kids. But I'm sorry, a mother of 4 in a household with my mother, who doesn't do the household cleaning on the inside. She only cleans on the outside, and she only focuses on the chickens that she's just gotten. Well, I clean the inside and focus on everything that has to do with the inside of this house. I also have to deal with the financial situations with everything, and I have an older daughter with a grandson that are out of the house. Plus, I have huge physical limitations myself. So I'm not asking for a fight, not a physical one. I'm asking for a fight of intellect, and right now you guys are proving to be very retarded and redundant and persistent in staying retarded. I don't want my kids seeing Miss Brianna Stevens anymore because she's not a PhD, and she's always focusing on the negativity towards me because she doesn't like me. Don't beat my kids. I'm not the bully. The schools are. So for that reason only, I'm going to end this video on a note of stop the bullying, and that includes teachers, sub-teachers, all members of the faculty, speech pathologists, doctors, superintendents of the schools, the counselors in the schools, anything that has to do with you guys lacking on your end, raise it up. And stop blaming the people that are overactive on our ends and trying to meet an ends to the bullying. So if you have any comments, comment below. If you call the cops on me because I've made a YouTube video that called you out on your bullshit, it just proves me right and you wrong. Once again, that you're the bully. I'm making a YouTube video because I have a vlog. It is a video log that logs the times that my kids are picked on at school and the days that I am trying to have a higher and better quality of life for what life I have left to live. So, until you stop bullying me, these videos will continue to be made. And the name dropping, I have a freedom of speech just like anybody else. It's in the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights. Enjoy that. Acknowledge and take it in. Let it soak in. And stop bullying my family. Please. I'm asking kindly. Stop bullying my family.